Welcome back, all. We are about 10 days out now. You're watching this from the first race of the season, which is Wilmslow Half Marathon on Sunday, the 24th of March, which I am absolutely buzzing for because, touch wood, injuries are slowly getting better and getting back to full fitness, and the training's been going actually reasonably well for that sub 80-minute attempt. So I'm buzzing for that. So the next video will probably be a synopsis of that. In this one, we're going to look at my second season in triathlon, which culminated in the final race of the season, which was at Bala, which was a European qualifier event. So enjoy it and look forward to seeing you next time.
So season 2, and in this season I do 3 standard distances triathlons, which I'm going to run through. So the first being at Southport, the second being at Chester, and then the final one is the qualifier race for the European Championships, which is at Bala. Now the first one at Southport took place in May, and I did manage to show some improvement on the swim as shown. So average pace 1:54, that's reduced down from about 2 minutes per 100 meter from the previous year. Straight rate up again slightly. If you remember, my straight rate was in the high 20s. That's increased to 30 on this. But this was actually pretty comfortable. I didn't feel that I pushed myself that hard. It was the first one of the season, so I didn't know quite how hard to gauge it, but it was comfortable, and at 1:54 I was relatively happy. Here's another prime example of how not to run with your bike. I still haven't nailed that. Should have practiced it during the winter, and I still look utterly ridiculous trying to run with my bike. Onto the bike though, slightly different story. So we've changed bikes here from a road bike to a TT bike, as you can see, and that's my first 40k on the bike. So a 1 hour and 8 minutes for the 40k, and that reduces my time on the bike by over 10 minutes from the road bike in the previous 2 races last year. So an average speed just over 35 kilometers an hour, so that's almost a 5 kilometer increase on average, 5 kilometer per hour increase on average. And the heart rate there, so able to push it slightly harder, I think this time, averaging about 1, when it starts reading there, it goes to about 150. But importantly, I hadn't had a bike fit on this bike, so I'd literally just put the seat to where I thought it should be, dropped the handlebars on, and cracked on. So there wasn't a great deal of optimization, which we'll come to in the later races. Onto the run. From memory, it was a lapped, quite twisty course around the marine lake. Got onto the run and felt reasonably strong. Was running at 3:54 kilometer pace, which is reduced from previous year. That was in the low 4 minutes per kilometer. Average heart rate 173, so it's right in that threshold zone that we were talking about a couple of videos ago. So able to push it reasonably hard on the run, and to drop below that 4 minute per kilometer pace was quite pleasing, and the result at this was quite good, better than I expected. Total time of 2 hours 22 minutes, got into the top 50, which was top 10%, which I really wasn't expecting. So overall I was pretty chuffed, able to push myself. I took aspects of both swim, bike and run that I thought were reasonably positive. Definitely still things to work on, probably the swim and pushing myself a bit harder on the swim, definitely, but then also optimizing my position on the bike, because going into a TT bike, aerodynamics, optimal position for outputting power definitely need to be improved. So then we went on to Chester, I think it was about a month later actually, and this was a river swim, so I'd never done a river swim before, so we were going upstream to start with and then back downstream. You can see there that this is probably the best race swim I've done actually. So 152 per 100 meter, so dropping about 28 minutes for the 1500 meter total, and actually able to get that heart rate up. I know my heart rate doesn't seem to read very well, but that's an indication that I was able to push harder than I had done previously. Stroke rate was up again, so that average stroke rate's increased from 30 to 33. So definite signs that the swim is slowly but surely starting to move in the right direction. Here's me coming out the swim and onto the bike. So had a bit of a, so this is the first race post bike fit, which is going to make a huge difference to my speed. So your speed, the average speed there, which is probably the best one to gauge for a comparison purpose, so 35.5, and that includes me making an absolute nonsense of trying to get onto the bike in the first place. And then there was a fairly sharp 90-degree bend about halfway that I decided to go straight into the curb and actually dropped a chain, so had to get off the bike to put the chain back on. So you can see that moving time's actually 1:06. So it's actually a pretty big improvement from a month previously to go quicker, but to stop, put my chain back on and carry on. And that's all from the benefits of having a bike fit. There's not really any increased fitness that I've gained in that month. Onto the run. Now, this was so painful. I've biked a lot harder than I did a month previously, so that's why my run pace has actually gone up compared to the previous month. So you see there that the average pace was a 4:02 per kilometer, whereas the previous months were 3:54, but that's just because I pushed so much harder on the bike. So it was a more optimized performance, I think, a more even performance, but boy did I pay for it on the run. You'll see in a couple of the photos here to come why this was the case. My feet were in absolute agony. I decided not to go with not to put socks on in transition, and I can assure you that 10 kilometers with no socks on is utterly stupid, and I won't be doing that again. So extremely difficult run. Looking that was on the first lap, so actually looking reasonably comfortable, but there you see that's coming towards to the end, foaming at the mouth and really struggling, and you can see there that's the problem with my running gait for sure, in that my left foot is not landing correctly, and that's the outcome of not wearing socks. Anyway, on to Bala. Now the dogs are enjoying a swim and doing some doggy paddle, but there's no doggy paddle from me because the triathlon was actually changed to a duathlon due to the foggy conditions down at Bala. So instead of the swim, they did a 2.66 kilometer run to start with, and boy oh boy, in this qualifier did those lads go off fast. They went off at some of them were running 3-minute kilometers. I managed to just about do 3:25, so just quicker than my 5k pace. At the time, I didn't know really how to gauge it. It was a difficult one, but I was probably, in hindsight, I could have gone a little bit harder, but I didn't want to completely blow it for the bike. I wanted to get ahead. There were about nearly 1,000 people going off at the same time, so I wanted to get ahead to get transition out the way, and it was a relatively smooth transition because there weren't too many people about. And got out onto the most epic bike course. If you want to do a beautiful surrounded triathlon, then go down to Bala. Absolutely amazing. And this is undoubtedly the best bike performance that I've managed to put together. So average speed, so 38.4 kilometers an hour. So getting up towards that 40 kilometers per average speed of 40 kilometers an hour, which sort of for the 40 kilometer course to complete it in about an hour is what you need to be doing to be competing against these top guys. So very, very happy with that. Heart rate 170, so I was on the back onto the run. So yeah, really pleased with that bike. I think the heart rate didn't really pick up for that bike. It said in the 120s, but that wasn't accurate. So the run, yeah, so 170 average heart rate, right in the threshold zone. I think the pace was about 345 per high 340s per kilometer. So really, yeah, 348. So pretty pleased with that. My cadence was up again. I'm really pushing it. You can see pretty much all of the run spent in zone 4. This is just me at the end of the run, coming in, cheered on by the parents and lots of those, so many people about. It's an amazing event, and very different from the start of the day when you couldn't see a meter in front of you. But towards the end was utterly epic, and a pretty special day to eventually finish 6th in age and scrape a qualification for this September in Vichy, which I'm absolutely buzzing for.
Thanks for watching. Comment down below any races that you've got coming up. And also comment any videos that you want to see. I've had a couple that have come through, so I'll try and get those sorted and get those out. But yeah, have a good week. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers up.